good on you for having the dedication to come and watch another Hertfordshire Building Control webinar. Those who've not been before might not know who I am. I'm Trevor Clements, and I'm Training and Development Principal with the company, ably assisted in the control room by Rachel Lagood, who's our marketing exec, and she does all the clever stuff in the background to put these events together. So without further ado, let me tell you a little story. When I was a young sprog of a building control, very green, and doing my qualifications for the Institute of Building Control that no longer exists, I prepared a dissertation on historic carpentry techniques. And I found that really interesting, and it really opened my eyes to the skill and ingenuity of those early craftsmen. They got by without any nails, screws, bolts. They connected wood just using clever joints, increasingly clever joints as the years progressed, and timber pegs. They also got by without, just beggars belief, but they got by without building control surveyors as well in those days. So you can only imagine how they suffered with that situation. But I jest. Let me tell you about the speaker today. I first came across the company, Simpson Strong Tie, again, many years ago, young surveyor working on loft conversions. And Simpson were the company that did the really good joist hangers that you could hang off a steel beam in a loft conversion, then you could hang your new floor joists off that and set them down between the ceiling joists. And there were a lot of hangers being used that weren't up to that. They were too lightweight. And part of our job was to make sure that the proper kit was put in. And so we subtly steered people towards that sort of a hanger. Since those days, a lot of water under the bridge, and technology's changed. Of course, we're now seeing the introduction ongoing of modern methods of construction. Offsite really is getting a bite of the market now. And I'm pleased to say, as we're going to find out, I know Simpson has kept pace with that changing technology to provide systems and connectors to suit that. But I'm not going to preempt the presentation. Let me introduce you to Lawrence Parker, who's going to talk to us about building safer structures. Over to you, Lawrence.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Trevor. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Lawrence Parker, as Trevor said, from Simpson Strong Tie. This is our Building Safer Structures webinar. A little bit of background about myself before I kick off. Probably spent the last 25 years working for the big anchor companies. You've probably heard of them: Hilti, Fisher, Rawlplug. Been with Simpson Strong Tie now just shy of 10 years. We still do, you may not be aware that Simpson Strong Tie, we do a range of resins and anchors as well. I'll tell you a little bit more about that as well within the presentation. But without further ado, I'll give you some idea of what the next sort of hour looks like. Couple of slides on background, who Simpson Strong Tie are, where we've come from. Current catalogue, I can send the link out for those that want it. You can download it straight off the website. In there you'll find safe working loads based on British standards. We've kept those in, and also you've got the increased characteristic loads. Lots of different features on the product, and again, I'm going to go into that in more detail as we go through. Latest innovations, products we've launched within the last 2 years, which you may or may not be aware of. So just to give you an update on the latest innovations. Modern methods of construction. Again, as Trevor mentioned, we've moved with the times. We've got a whole brochure on cross-laminated timber. Again, you can completely download it. We've got a whole brochure on light gauge steel, which can be downloaded straight off the website. We do a range of products for connecting glulam beams, and I'll give you a little insight, a couple of slides on each of those later on in the presentation. As I mentioned, we do a range of resin and mechanical anchors. I'll make you aware of one particular problem with one particular resin in the marketplace. I'll tell you a little bit more in detail about that later on. To finish off with my hall of shame is exactly as you can imagine. It's lots of bad examples I've come across where contractors have installed product incorrectly, tried to cut corners. So again, it's just my hall of shame. I'm sure we've all seen our own horror stories as we've visited sites. I'll show you how you get access to free site testing, CAD drawings, technical backup, etc. Okay, so we are an American company. A guy called Barclay Simpson set us up back in 1956. We didn't actually enter the UK until 1994. Currently, the whole of the UK catalogue is manufactured in the UK. We have a manufacturing plant in Tamworth in Staffordshire, where the whole of the range is manufactured. We've also got a state-of-the-art test lab where we test for the whole of Europe. So if you do find yourself in the area, we've always got lots of nice testing going on within the lab. Drop us an email. We'd love to show you around the factory and also around the test lab to show you what's going on within Simpson Strong Tie. We are global. I mentioned our roots are American. By all means, go onto the American website. There's hundreds upon thousands of products on there. Unfortunately, being American, a lot of it is imperial sizes. So a lot of it we can't bring across. But depending upon where you are in the world, we have subsidiaries with our own product range. So if, for example, you was working on a particular project, you couldn't find a solution in that catalogue, email into one of our technical guys. We will have a solution somewhere in the organisation. As you'd expect, all the relevant approvals, lots of the products are LABC registered. Again, all ISO marks as well. So again, transferable throughout the whole of Europe, and you'll see all the accreditations next to the product in the catalogue. We support all the relevant trade associations. I'm sure you're familiar with them all. Again, all run their own websites, all fantastic places to head to for more detailed information. As I mentioned, we've decided as a company to keep safe working loads in the catalogue based on British standards. So majority of the products, you'll have those in the catalogue. We've also got characteristic, again, high low performance based on Eurocode 5. We say to structural engineers, if you're working off the higher low performances, you need to bear in mind that all our in-house testing is done into LVL or solid timber. Any deviation on that, you need to refer to table 3.1 of Eurocode. But failing that, again, just a quick email into one of our technical guys and we'll just give you clarification if you need that. Nice little feature we've added in the latest catalogue. The latest catalogue is 2022. So that's the one you can download. Anybody wants a hard copy, obviously it's nice to flick through hard copies. Again, let me know, drop me an email and I can post a hard copy out to you. But you will find this little force compass next to the product. It's just a nice visual indicator to show you exactly what forces will be applied to any hanger or connector. Again, it's just a nice little visual. Very important, contractors ideally use the nail we've tested with. That's what all our data is based on. Majority of the time, it will be a 3.75 by 30 mil square twist. We ideally want to use that. We get lots of calls into our technical guys saying guys on site want a shot fire. Shot firing generally wouldn't be a problem because the nail is 40 mil long for the big shot fire system. So as long as they're getting a deeper embedment depth, then you're pretty good to work off our values. On that note, lots of the product we have tested with a longer nail as well. And where we've done that, we've give standard nail and what the increased performances will be if the longer nail is used as well. And I'll give you an example of that later on. Another little feature, just to make sure the contractor hopefully looks at the information. This little feature will tell them exactly what they need to be using to install the product. Unique to Simpson Strong Tie, again, very, very straightforward. Any of our hangers, connectors that have a round hole, quite simply, that has to be filled with a nail. No ifs, no buts. If it's got a round hole in, nail has to be installed. That's not the case with a lot of our competitors. with us, very, very straightforward. A lot of the products will also have a triangular hole. Now, these don't have to be filled, but any of our hangers that have a triangular hole, we've tested, and you get an increased performance if triangular holes are also specified to be filled in. And again, I'll give an example of that later on. I mentioned already we do lots of hangers for structural insulation panels, cross-laminated timber. All our hangers for these products will have a hexagonal hole, and that indicates the contractor that they need to be installing the relevant structural screw. Any awkward areas, we put an odd round hole in. Good example of this is on our truss clip. I'll hold that up there. Literally, our truss clip has got odd round holes all the way around. Again, it can be quite fiddly. It just gives the contractor a bigger target to aim at, easy to locate and drive nails in. Round always, triangular if specified or you want to increase performance. Different installation features as well. And again, I'll play some videos and you'll see these all in operation. They all enhance performance and quite often increase the chance or decrease the chance of any problems going wrong. The first feature is a dome feature. We call this dome nailing. This will guide the nail into the joist and header at a 45-degree angle. By going in at 45 degrees, it actually increases the strength of the connection, but more often than not, it's driving the nail away from the edge, reducing the actual chance of the timber splitting. Double shear nailing is a specialised nailing method. Good example of this, we do a mono truss hanger. Standard, you'd have to swing the hammer sideways to install the actual hanger itself. There could be other trusses getting in the way, can be quite fiddly. We can go to site and show the contractor how to double shear nail. It's literally now driving the nails in at an angle. By doing that, it's make it easy to install. Not only that, because it's a longer nail, it increases performance. Positive angle nailing. We work and we do lots of hangers now for I-joists and posi-joists, metal web joists. All our hangers for these will have a positive angle nail feature. And again, it will drive the nail in at an angle. And you'll see this shortly when I play some videos. And a great little feature we've added, lots of the hangers connectors will have a speed prong. Again, I'll show you my truss clip again. You can see the speed prong there. Very straightforward for the contractor to offer that up, tap the speed prong, very easy then to go around and fill the holes in. So we're always looking to make sure we can make it easy for the contractor and less likely that they won't install the product incorrectly. All Simpson Strong Tie hangers are designed for the new regularised timber. Again, lots of our competitors, they aren't. This is an example of a competitor's product. If it wasn't designed for the new regularised timber, they should be putting in some sort of structural packaging. We come across this on site. Quite often, they're not going to do that. They've installed the hanger because it's not designed for the new regularised timber. They've got this gap, which is obviously just highlighted by this toothbrush there. You're not going to get any of these issues at all. All Simpson Strong Tie is designed for the new regularised timber. Going to show you some latest innovations, some product that we've launched within the last couple of years. I'm going to kick off with our Safety Fast light hanger. We do this hanger for I-joists and we do it for solid joists as well. I'm going to play you a video and you'll see it being used for I-joists. But the key feature with a traditional hanger, before you could start loading the floor, you would need 3 courses of masonry above. With this hanger, once the mortar on the supporting block work is cured, the hanger can be put in position. You can see here that it literally hooks over the block work. It's designed for a 100mm block. It can be used on 140mm. Contractor would just need to cut a slot, and we have a technical bulletin on that. Any lateral movement, it can also be used in conjunction with a lateral restraint strap. And again, all the spacings for that can be found in the catalogue. Once you've got 3 courses above, you'll get maximum capacity, but you've got before and after values in the catalogue. But the video shows it very, very nicely, and it's a nice visual to give you an idea of how it works. As I mentioned, this is for I-joists. Beauty of this, obviously, any small projects or anywhere where you want to speed up the build process, this is perfect for that. Obviously, contractors need to be careful they don't overload it until you've got the 3 courses above, but you do get instant light load performance once the hanger's installed. So that literally now can happen all on the same day. And as I say, as long as it's not overloaded in any position, the bricks and blocks are spread around, it's a great way to speed up the build process. We have product specialists in lots of different areas of the business as well. So anything that comes up, you want more information on, make a note. And as I say, we can show you lots of different examples of where this has been used. We've innovated our restraint straps. We do a heavy engineered strap used horizontally and a light engineered strap. Our restraint straps are only 1.5 mil thick, probably used to standard restraint strap being 5 mil. These are LABC registered and they meet all building regulations. The reason we've been able to reduce the thickness down from 5 mil to 1.5 is the actual strength of the strap needs to be in the bend itself. So by putting reinforcement ribs on the bend, we've been able to reduce the strap size down to 1.5 mil, which as a manufacturer is brilliant because we're saving material costs and it makes the product lighter. But potentially, if it's used to tie in floor joists to the masonry and a contractor tries to cut corners, he doesn't actually notch that out, you're not going to probably get any problem with the floor because it's only 1.5 mil thick. We are actually got this product in the lab at the moment, and we're bringing it, are going to launch it and bring it down to 1.2 mil. So we're constantly looking at how we can improve and innovate products. Lots of big house builders now are designing the gable panels in timber. This is a recognised way of actually installing the gable panels once they arrive on site, used in conjunction with all the relevant restraint straps. They meet all building regulations. This is just showing a continuous wall plate application. There's the gable panel connector. Obviously the timber gable panel arrives on site, and we highlight all the relevant restraint straps to tie this all in on site. And this is showing a raised wall plate application. Again, it's probably not being used quite so much for smaller projects, but certainly large housing developments, then a lot of the big house builders are designing the gable panels in timber now. And yeah, there could be lots of examples where this is going to happen more and more going forward. We've launched this product literally within the last couple of months. It's our EWH engineered wood hanger. What we've literally done is we've produced one hanger and we've reduced lots of different hangers out of the range. This one hanger now is obviously flexible, simple to install. It's an engineered hanger that has been designed to fulfill a wide variety of installation options. It can be top fix or face fix. Obviously, if it's face fix, then this can literally just be snapped off. Or if it's to be top fix, it can be wrapped over. Triangular holes, I mentioned already. You don't have to install those, but you have in the catalogue all the relevant information for increased performance through triangular holes. It can be used on I-joists, metal webs, and it can also be used on solid joists. Before, we had lots of different hangers. If it was a solid joist, if it was a metal web, it was an I-joist. This is an all-round universal hanger, and all the different sizes can be found in the catalogue. Here's just a few examples of top fix and face fix options. So again, it was a product that we looked at, and it was in sort of development for sort of 12 to 24 months, and it literally has been launched in the latest catalogue, and it has a wide range of different uses. This is a very innovative product for I-joists. This one hanger can be skewed left or right. You can create an angle from 5 degrees to 67.5 degrees. Literally, all the angle information is on the back of the product. By measuring across these two top points here, it will tell you what measurement relates to what angle. Beauty of this is if there are any little adjustments, it's very easy to do that on site as well. It's probably hard to visualize exactly how it works, so I have got a video to play for you. Might cost a few pence more because obviously there's a lot of technology in it, but the amount of aggravation and problems it can save on site far outweigh that. If triangular holes are to be filled, then backer blocks do need to be put onto the I-joist, so that will enable the contractor to fill through the triangular holes. But that's only if you want increased performance. You get the standard very good performance just by fixing to the top flange and bottom flange. It's like a concertina effect now. Literally by measuring those points, you can create the desired angle. Angles created. You've got cutouts in the seat, which is literally just tapped in position with a hammer. Incoming I-joist, angle created, and as I say, you can create any angle from 5 degrees to 67.5 degrees. Could have skewed it right as well. A nice innovative product. Just to highlight a few other hangers in the range. SAE and SAI ranges are very high performing heavy duty hangers. Main criteria is the hanger depth has to be at least 60% of the carried member to prevent rotation. But as long as that's the case, obviously you've got exceptionally high low performance. You've got standard nailing, but you've also got these larger diameter holes if it's to be used into masonry as well. We work with all the major I-joist manufacturers. We work with Styco, Boise, LP, and there's restrictions of where holes can and can't go through. We developed this piece of metalwork, which allows holes to go into I-joists where they wouldn't normally be permitted. As you can see on the visual here, it can be installed up to 50 mil of the bearing point, so brilliant for saw pipe runs. Variable hole size from 150 to 250 mil. Main feature of the product is it can be installed after any pipe work or any cabling has gone through. So quite often it's used to solve potential problems. Different contractors come on site, holes are going all through the I-joist. This is two pieces of metalwork that slots together, front and back. So it can actually be installed after any mechanical pipe work or cabling has gone through, and quite often it is used to solve any potential problems if the floor has been weakened. Some other flooring ancillaries is our multi-joist connector. Traditionally, if you've got a point load, two I-joists need to be connected together, filler blocks put in, nailed, very, very time consuming, very difficult to check to see if it's been done properly. This is nice and visual. Very, very simple to actually fix two eye joists together. It's installed top and bottom of the eye joist, and all the spacings are in the catalogue. And this Z clip, this allows eye joists to be used as noggins. It slots them all in nicely, makes it all nice and neat, and again, a nice, simple product. Truss clip. The amount of times that we see this installed incorrectly, and I'll show you later on in my Hall of Shame, but that's how it should be installed. It shouldn't be bent or interfered with at all. Ours has a nice speed prong on, so again, it's very easy for a contractor to install it, and I need to make sure they then go round and install all the nail holes. We also do a H2.5A, which is a high wind tie. This is for trusses and rafters likely to be subjected to high winds. For general purposes, strong back attachments, and as an all-purpose tie, it can be used on its own, or it can also be used in pairs. So that is a high wind tie with a lot higher performance than the standard truss clip. The adjustable truss hanger, the THA, again, very high performing truss hanger. You've got 3 different nailing methods. All the information's on the back of the hanger. As I mentioned, increase the nail size, increase performance. Not only that, it can be face fixed, as the visual shows here, or it can actually be wrapped over on site if necessary as well. This is a Valley Truss clip. This is recommended by the NHBC. It provides a positive connection between Valley trusses and supported truss, eliminates the need to add a support wedge under the Valley truss or to bevel the bottom cord to match the roof pitch. It's adjustable on site and it adjusts between 10 and 40 degrees. But again, it's a recognised method of overcoming that particular problem. This is our JHA. I believe that this may have been one that Trevor was referring to earlier on to me, which the next slide will show. We do it as a standard 270, and we also do a long leg version, a JHA 450. And the beauty of the long leg is, as you can see on the visual here, with a steel girder, it can literally be dropped right down because you have an exceptionally high leg length. We do lots of different ways of connecting 2 steel girders. The JHM is another way here. We have a technical bulletin where you can completely download. So any contractors, they need more information, they want to know how they can do it. There's lots of examples in the catalogue, or they can download a lot more detailed information. This is a very high performance masonry hanger. Exceptionally high performance, very important though, to get the low performances we quote, that the contractor puts a pad stone in the masonry. Otherwise, you're not going to get the performance values. We do a standard, and we also do it various angles that can be purchased up to 67.5 degrees, and again, can be skewed left or right. Very, very high performing masonry hanger, but again, very important that a concrete pad stone is installed into the masonry. I'll show you the next couple of slides. Basically, timber frame can be subjected to racking. Structural engineers generally design steel goalposts in, very time consuming, steel arrives on site and it has to be installed. This is an off-the-shelf product which prevents racking resistance in a timber frame building. It's literally 2 steel columns. We do 3 different widths. Increase the width size, you'll increase the racking performance. 2 different heights as well. We provide the steel columns and all the structural screws to fix it onto the timber header. And we provide all the resins and studs to fix the portals down to the foundation as well. I'm going to show you a time-lapse video of one of these being installed on a site, and it shows it quite nicely. We have an engineer that just literally concentrates on the portals. So if you are working on a timber frame building, wide openings or lots of glazing, then as I say, we can look at this in a lot more detail. Important again that pad stones are put into the foundation if it's a block and beam, obviously to make sure that it's good enough to fix the portals too. We do a whole brochure on it, as I say, just a couple of slides just to show you that we have this in the range. Great example, timber frame building, lots of glazing gone in and the portal's gone in at this point here. Obviously with lots of new builds, you're going to get lots of glazing, bifolds in, etc. So it's been used a lot of times on a lot of different projects. That's just a light-hearted slide before I move on to a more serious subject. As a company, we do a whole range of wall ties. There's a whole section in the catalogue purely on our wall ties. This was a particular project back in 2016 where a contractor was working on refurbishments in schools around Scotland. This was a primary school in Edinburgh. The contractor had used the wrong wall ties. He hadn't used the right spacings. There was exceptionally high winds. Luckily, it was a refurb, so there wasn't any children around. But because of the high winds and the wrong ties that had been used, the whole brick facade collapsed right the way down onto the playground. This contractor had worked on other projects as well. And luckily, it was established what had happened, and they was able to go around and rectify at huge costs and make sure it was all done with the correct ties. I'm not going to go through them, but we have a whole section and a whole range of different types of wall ties, ranging from heavy-duty masonry all the way through to timber frame and high movement timber frame ties as well. Moving on to modern methods. This is, I'm not sure this is totally relevant. This is going back, this was Trada was saying that about 5% for SIPs, 5% for CLT and glue, but that's increasing all the while. Obviously massive benefits of these new modern methods. Starting off with light gauge steel. Again, we have a whole brochure on light gauge steel, which can be downloaded completely off the website. Similar to wood frame, construction in principle, but the wood framing members are just replaced with cold form section. So within our catalogue, there's lots of different angle brackets and hold downs to suit the whole range of light gauge steel construction. As the slide says, we currently have the only dedicated range of performance tested connectors. And channel systems, bridge connectors, the whole lot can be found in our light gauge steel catalogue. Going back a couple of years in London, Victoria Halls was a nice light gauge steel project, 17 stories high. At the time, it was the tallest light gauge steel building in the world, and lots of our range of products were used on Victoria Halls. Cross-laminated timber, again, becoming more and more popular. Obviously, engineers and architects are looking at it more, mainly bigger projects, sort of sports, service stations, etc. But lots of advantages, obviously sustainable, all the carbon's trapped into the panels, all manufactured off-site, saving a lot of time on site. I'm sure we're all aware of the big benefits. So as a company, we've launched a whole brochure purely on cross-laminated timber. I'm just going to show you a couple of products this afternoon. Straightforward angle brackets. For example, this is a lightweight ABR for small CLT panels for tying them down onto the concrete slabs. More heavy duty, like the ACW, for larger CLT panels. But again, very innovative brackets with sliddling to stop the transfer of noise from floor to floor and room to room. So lots of innovative products in the new CLT brochure. Hold downs, again, these are used on the light gauge steel, and also on the CLT as well. Again, superior strength to withstand uplift forces, can be used on their own, and again, increased performance if they're used in pairs as well. Lots of different post bases depending upon what aesthetics are being looked for. They can all be found in the normal brochure and the CLT. I'll just highlight the APB. This is adjustable, so that's threaded element on the top. The beauty of that is any little adjustments that need to be made on site, very easy to do that. But lots of different ways of getting the posts off of the concrete slab. Okay, this is something that we just literally just launched. It's a stepped party wall tie. Again, it's been manufactured using minimum material. This allows the tie to meet the regulations of Part E, resistance to passages of sound, whilst incorporating a unique stiffening rib for maximum structural capacity. The party wall tie has cavity widths of 50, 62 and 75 mil. This is what I was moving on to. This is a stepped party wall tie. Quite often on new builds, they're going to be dropping down. This is a party wall tie that has been actually designed for that as an application, specifically designed and engineered to connect separating walls of attached timber frame buildings to be used for step party wall applications. The visual kind of shows it there nicely. And again, we designed that to solve that particular product, and that has literally been launched within the last couple of weeks. Structural screws are brilliant as long as they're fit for purpose. We do high performance structural screws. Again, lots of different applications, tying in panels, tying trusses together, etc. We do lots of different lengths as well, long lengths. They're drill point, so they don't have to be pre-drilled. They literally will drive their own way in, and lots of different head styles as well. What I will mention, the key feature of these as well is that reamer portion. You can imagine that anything that's driving its way into timber can potentially jam up and get stuck. That reamer portion on the structural screw removes the timber from the threads as it's been driven in, so it's guaranteed to fix and clamp tight every time. And as I mentioned, CLT panels, tying those together, SIPS panels, again, trusses, etc. We've also got that feature, and we do a whole range of premium fasteners as well. I'm not going to talk about those, but after this, go onto the website. There's lots of different applications. Bear with me just one moment.
Put the dog on onto the webinar. Actually,
Yeah, why not?
Sorry about that. That was always going to happen.
We were looking forward to seeing the dog.
Oh no, my daughter's just arrived, and I unfortunately I forgot I bolted the back gate and she couldn't get in. So apologies for that. It's that sort of time in the afternoon. So he's a cockapoo actually. I might bring him in at the end then, just so you can see who's making all the noise. We also do a quick drive system, again, which can all be downloaded straight off of the website. A couple of projects we've worked on, very interesting, with CLT. This one was Bridport House. It was in Hackney in London. We worked very closely with the structural engineer. The reason I've highlighted this is originally there was a 5-storey Victorian brick and block building on the site. They had permission to demolish and rebuild and go up higher, but there was an old Victoria sewer running underneath. If they looked at traditional brick and block, they can only go back up to 5 stories. Well, looking at cross-laminated timber as an alternative, the weight ratio got them up an extra 3 stories. Obviously, they had permission to go higher, so they went with that. Not only that, you've got all the carbon trapped in, sustainability, all off-site. It was a residential area as well. So a nice sort of project that lots of our structural screws and angle brackets were used on. That was in Hackney. In Hackney recently, a couple of years ago, again at Dalston Lane, we worked with Rambo, the structural engineers. They completed the world's largest CLT project at Dalston Lane. Largest as in volume, and again, lots of our products were used on Dalston Lane. Glulam, just a couple of slides on Glulam. Again, from a structural point of view, Glulam is equal to concrete and steel. From an aesthetic point of view, it could be argued that having nice Glulam beams looks brilliant, it's nice, and obviously ticks all the sustainability boxes as well. So we do some nice Glulam beam connectors. The ETB is an aluminium lightweight Glulam beam connector. Can be used on other types of timber material as well. Very lightweight. Again, you've got probably just make out, you've got chamfered edges going down here. This section, as the visual shows, would be pocketed into the header. This incoming section would then be screwed, and you're going to get a hidden connection between the 2 elements. So again, lightweight, looking up, and you won't see any connection at all. Our TU is a more heavy-duty Glulam beam hanger. Again, this is steel. It can be standard. Again, slot cut in, and then depending upon the thickness of the beam, we provide the correct size dowel to install the hanger in. Beauty of this is where it can also be sloped for roofs, for cut roofs as well. The BTALU, again, similar system for increased performance. Lots of the TUs we used at Canary Wharf, which was a nice Glulam beam project that we was involved with a few years ago. Structural insulation panels, again, roofs, floors, walls, all can be SIPS panels. We do a nice SIPS hanger, the IUQ. Has to be installed with structural screws, but again, a simple, effective way, then you can run off metal webs or I-joists, depending upon the preferred method. The BTS, this is a stainless steel wall tie. Again, brilliant for SIPS panels. We provide a small structural screw to screw the actual tie into the SIPS, and then literally the bottom portion will go into the masonry. And this section here allows up to 24 mil of movement. So it can be used up to 4 stories, allowing 6 mil of movement on each story. So again, a nice SIPS to masonry tie. All of those were used on at Kingfisher Court, which was in Hertfordshire. Again, over 6,000 panels, structural insulation panels were used at Kingfisher Court. And as I say, lots of our ties were used on that particular project. So that was a huge one, but again, small single story houses, etc. Lots of different stuff going on with SIPS. We developed this because lots of particular customers as were having problems tying together the panels, SIPS panels, CLT panels to make them airtight. They were using a structural screw, but the contractors were driving them through one panel into the other panel, all a bit hit and miss, and it wasn't doing it properly. Very simple solution. Provide this small piece of metalwork here. That now acts as a guide. And because it acts as a guide, the actual structural screw has a certain amount of thread on it. And that guide now will make sure the thread hits the second panel and pulls it in nice and tight. Guy that developed it did a little mock-up in his back garden, so it's good enough for me to show you, and it shows it quite nicely. I think he went on to build himself a sort of big outbuilding, but it shows it nicely. Can be used to tie the panels together, or can also be used to pull them down to the sole plate as well. So it's going to cost a few pence more now, but it's going to be done properly. And once, I'll just let you see this part here. It's clamped it nice and tight to prevent any air escaping, obviously getting maximum U values. Once it's installed, all the membrane will be wrapped around within the cavity. So that was something we just developed as a result of a particular problem contractors were having on site. Resin Systems, I'll give you a quick overview. Obviously, Resin Systems are brilliant, fantastic for really poor substrates. There's a really poor substrate. Anything that relied on friction would have no chance of working to that type of material. So again, resins are brilliant for masonry, really low density, thermalite, silicon blocks, etc. All resins work the same. They come in a tube. You have a helix in the nozzle. As the resin's pumped down, it mixes in the actual nozzle itself. We always try and get contractors to clean the holes out, because otherwise the dust will interfere with performance. Resins are also used quite a lot into concrete, especially when it's close to an edge, because you haven't got the cone of influence that you've got with a mechanical anchor with a resin system. They're completely stress-free. The problem is the UK market is swamped with cheap polyester resins, and polyester resins, it's been proven they're not stable when they're installed into concrete. So if it's a critical application into concrete and a polyester resin is used, it will be fine on the day it's installed, but it's been proven the alkaline content within the concrete will attack a polyester, and you'll get low degradation gradually up to 50% over a 5-year period. Not only that, if the concrete slab was wet, quite often it is, something called saponification will also occur. Best way of describing that, if my mouse was a bar of soap, dropped into a bath and took it out 5 minutes later, it would be solid on the inside, but it'd be soft on the outside. And it's been proven you'll get low degradation up to 50% if the concrete's damp as well. I mentioned I work for the big anchor companies. Quite often I was called to site to do proof testing. I would never actually proof test if it was a critical application, because if I tested a tensile test on the day it was installed, it would be fine. But literally 5 years down the line, there could be problems if a polyester was used. So just be careful of polyester resins being used for critical applications into concrete. Just to finish off, my Hall of Shame. Great example of what I've just been talking about. This can make out this is a steel column. This is some balustrade. They've used a mechanical anchor. What happens with a mechanical anchor? I've got one here. This is a through bolt. It's brilliant for connecting any architectural metalwork down to concrete, but as it's torqued up, this clip is pulled over the conical piece here. Anything that relies on friction will have a cone of influence at the point where the friction is. So if that cone influences an edge, like it has done here, it will crack the concrete. And this here is a bigger application. It's completely spooled the whole concrete out. Great examples of where they should have used a resin system, obviously not a polyester. And if they'd used a resin system, they would have got the performances and they wouldn't have had all these problems that they would have had, or they did get with a mechanical anchor. See that all the while mechanical anchors being used too close to an edge. The I-beam hole support I showed you earlier on. This was a situation we come across on site where literally the whole floor had holes going through. Again, potentially a dangerous situation, and I was able to get some support into that. This contractor, you can probably just make out these are I-joist floors. They've literally chopped all the way through the floor with this ducting. Literally, yeah, and that was sort of halfway across. Like, unbelievable that we saw that they'd done that. We do hangers for every type of angle. The amount of times we see contractors bending standard hangers and then trying to fix it all together, driving, skew nailing in. I mean, chances are it's probably going to be okay, but the chances are it's not. And again, it could cause lots of problems and be very dangerous. So that's something we come across on site. This is our ITB. They've overlapped hangers. Again, they're not designed to be overlapped. Again, interfering with performance. Round holes here. These can make out the I-joist. They have to fill in all the round holes. They haven't. Literally, they've just filled a couple in the top and they've started to pull away. Again, potentially could be a dangerous situation. Truss clip, bent over. It's not how it's designed to be installed. Once you start interfering with the metal on the truss clip, it's probably going to be okay, but it's not designed to be installed like that. So we would want to make sure that they actually understand and install a truss clip correctly. This is a restraint strap used as a hold down strap. Restraint strap is only zinc plated, hasn't got the performance of a hold down strap, but they literally were going to use it on this project as a hold down strap. We're always innovating. This is beading, steel beading. 10 years down the line, it started to rust inside, causing this on the outside of a building. As a result, all Simpson Strong Ties beading is PVCU now. So literally years down the line, you're not going to get any type of rust interfering or coming through the building itself. I mentioned our roots are American. We don't get too many earthquakes in the UK, but obviously the Americans do. This just gives you a flavour of technically what's going on in the background. You can make out the bottom here a shake table. This is going to shake the building and replicate a high magnitude earthquake. It's a 6-storey timber building. In there is a wide range of Simpson Strong Tie products and all measuring equipment as well to see how it performs. Earthquakes themselves generally don't kill people. It's the actual buildings collapsing that causes the fatalities. So the whole idea is during a high magnitude earthquake that the building is still standing at the end. I don't think the volume is going to come through. So I'll play the first part. You'll get a good feeling of it. And as I say, you'll see it nicely. So that just gives you a flavour. If you tap Simpson Strong Tie earthquake testing into Google, there's lots of different examples of testing that we've done out in America. Any contractor that needs a toolbox tool that's installing product incorrectly, we will go to site. We have coverage throughout the whole of the UK. If there are any architectural technicians on, you can go onto our website and you can download up to 1,000 2D, 3D CAD drawings. All the different formats, Rivet, DWG, SAT, all can be downloaded straight from our website. All the information to install the product is on the back, is on the boxes, but this is just belt and braces. We do an A4 sheet for every single product to make sure contractors install it all correctly. Connector software can be downloaded. Anchor software for our resin systems. We do complete site testing, technical backup on all our resin systems. I've got a small hydraulic test rig where I can go to site and I can test up to 25 kilonewtons in tension, 2.5 metric ton, basically testing the substrate. Quite often that's asked for when fixing into refurbs into masonry, because nobody knows quite how good the masonry is. But this shows a bigger rig that I've got where I can actually test up to 20 metric ton. So again, large diameter epoxy resin studs, we can do test for those as well. And that's all free of charge. That's all free technical backup. We've got our product in every Joists, Travis, all the specialised engineered timber companies. So whatever town a contractor's in, he will be able to get hold of our product, no problem at all. And we have sales managers that cover the whole of the UK. This UK technical at strongtie.com. Any information or any technical information or any assistance, there's 3 guys sat there on a daily basis. That's the presentation. Hopefully there's been some nuggets in there that you can take away. It is accredited. You will get an hour's worth of points for it. I'm going to send it electronically to Rachel, who can then forward it round. Literally, I've signed it, and you just need to sort of fill your own details in. Anybody wants any more information from me, then obviously you can send me an email direct. And if you want any literature or hard copies, let me know and I can post those out to you as well. But if anybody's got any questions, I will stop talking.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Lawrence. Really, really interesting. It made me realise I need to get out more and get out on site, because there was a lot of really clever kit there that I'd never seen used before. So yeah, very enlightening. I should say, you mentioned LABC type approvals, the sort of registered details. They are actually being phased out now. So they may still be covered for a while, but they will not be renewed. So yeah, in a year or so, there'll be no point looking for those details.
Right.
So there you go. So question wise, let's see, have we got any? Possibly not. I've got a question. I'll start the ball rolling in case any more come in. Interesting to see that safety fast light hanger, and you showed it on an engineered joist there. So the question is, if you were using that on a traditional joist, would you still need the sort of lateral restraint strap component? Because you've got a hanger that hooks over the masonry. You fire a few nails in there, surely you've got adequate restraint, haven't you?
Right, yeah, good question. We do that product for solid joists as well. And again, you've got all the information for solid joist application. As regard to lateral restraint, Trevor, that's a good question. Let me see. Okay, so page 44 has all the information, and we've got it for standard and we've got it for the lateral restraint. And no, you're correct. For the standard hanger, there is no lateral restraint strap, so it's purely for I-joist application.
Excellent. Good colleagues out there. You don't have to pick any builders up on the lack of a strap on a traditional floor then. That's useful. And the only other thing I was going to question was, one of the things I know our people have trouble with out on site is the use of a lateral restraint strap or a tie-down strap, or the misuse of in inappropriate situations. And the problem hasn't helped in that they look very similar. When they were 30 by 5 mil, it was obvious, but now they're only a millimetre or millimetre and a half thick. How does Simpson mark up their products so we know it is a lateral restraint and not a tie-down?
Right, okay. Yeah, that can be a problem. Contractors who spend years using a 5mm might see ours and think, well, hold on a minute, that's no good. Where's this come from? This is really, so they need to be educated to the fact of why it's okay with a reinforcement bend. All the products clearly marked up. But yeah, if there is a downside to that innovation, it is that a contractor might see it as not being fit for purpose because it is only 1.5mm. So we just need to get that point across to them, show them why it's okay, and once they realise that it benefits them. But we do marketing campaigns on LinkedIn, all the various social media platforms. We're talking about different ways we can get out to the contractor. We've got them installation guides for every single product. So there's an installation guide for the restraint straps. So again, they have got access to the information. We try and give them access to as much information as we can. But at the end of the day, depending upon who the contractor is, that they might pick it up and they might not think it's fit for purpose. And yeah, so we just try and get that message across to them. But that's down to us. Or as I say, if you're on site now and you see those and ask the question, which they're quite likely to, aren't they? Is this going to be any good? The answer is yes. They meet all building regulations because of that innovative.
Yeah. It was more to do with it, if a tie down strap is used in place of a lateral restraint strap, and is there anything obvious for, say, one of my colleagues to see to make that so that they can pick that up, because clearly that wouldn't be an appropriate use of a tie down strap. And are they distinctly different and marked?
It's marked on there. All the information, every single product we have has got the markings of what it actually is and what the sizing is. So a quick little look up would tell them what it is, and they could refer back and just check. But other than that, probably not, unless a closer investigation. What we always say to contractors or inspectors, etc., any problems at all, quick photo, quick email into the technical guys just to get clarification. But yeah, it's all marked up. It's all marked up since the strong side, what the product is and what the sizing is all on the product itself.
Excellent. Yeah. So a good look at the tie should show you if it's the right one.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Apart from that, just a question from my colleague Susanna. Can we have a copy of the slides if possible? And would you mind if she passed them on to local builders?
Fantastic. I believe Rachel's recorded it, so she has all the slides anyway.
They are better still. We got a link to the recording and a live presentation. Yeah, exactly.
So any local builders that want to have access to that, then brilliant. Yeah, again, it's contractors, engineers, architects, whoever wants to see can more than welcome to spread that around.
Excellent. Well, Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that there weren't any other questions, were there? Which is fortunate, as we just started to run over slightly.
That's great. No, Steve Moreau says those angled joist hangers are a great idea.
Yeah. Well, Steve should know because he's a very experienced carpenter, or was. So that's a compliment indeed.
Fantastic.
So it only remains then for me to thank you, Lawrence, for a really interesting presentation. It really was up to the standard I expected, and I'm sure the audience enjoyed it. Thanks to Rachel in the back room for doing your bit. Seamless webinar as always. What we got coming up that we can let people know about before we say cheerio?
So we're on a break for summer because everybody's going to be away. Mm-hmm. And then we're back in the autumn, hopefully with a different style of CPD, more of a Q&A style. We're hoping to do some stuff on part B and some stuff on floss with a panel. So you'll hear about that soon.
Excellent. So while everybody's sitting around the pools around the world, they can think about some tricky questions to task us with when we get back to the world of reality and work. So that's that then. Thank you very much for joining us, and hope you'll join us for the next webinar. Yeah, that's cheerio for now from us, and thanks again to Lawrence. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.